Hello, hello, welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV. Now, I know this isn't where I left off. You might be wondering, oh, why the fuck is he doing in South Shroud? But perhaps you've already put two and two together, and you know that I didn't finish showing you off Palace of the Dead before. And we just sort of left it because, you know, it wasn't pertinent to the plot. And I had to redo up to floor 31 in my own time. So I figure, before we continue with any more Heavensward story, you know, we're kind of at a good, you know, stopgap point. Got some cool music going on. Let's use sight. And let's eat some food. Yeah, that'll do. Deadlifts are practically a whole body exercise. They use a lot of your back and core. That's my brother, he's on his ult. Her name was Tio Plato, but he had to switch her name. Oh, right. I better not get carried away here. But I do want to move quickly. At least a little quickly. We still gotta get level ups. Alright. We need 7 more level ups to cap out in here. In case you've forgotten, the inner level for Palace of the Dead caps at 60. I love Blood of Darkness. The one thing I really do like about Shadowbringers Dark Knight, even though it's basically Dark Knight as a former shadow of itself, compared to like the Heavensward version, I do love that they tied the AoE ability and the the raw damage to being outside of your globals. The thing that Flood of Darkness replaced was basically it's called Dark Passenger. It was a 30-second line AoE that you could buff to 240 potency with, or 250 potency or something like that with Dark Arts. And if you buffed it with Dark Arts, it also blinded all of the enemies. So it was technically a defensive cooldown against anything that could be affected by blind, which basically would be anything in here and any trash monster in a dungeon. So you mix that with Dark Arts Dark Dance, and you gained what was it, like a 20% evasion from Dark Dance. Maybe no, it was a 30% evasion from Dark Dance. And then you gave the monsters minus 20% accuracy. So effectively, you got 50% evade rate, which could be bad technically because you also had a skill called Blood Price, where every time you take damage, you get MP. So obviously, you wouldn't want to mix Blood Price and that evasion combo. But if you use that evasion combo on a mass pull in a dungeon, it was literally the best mitigation for trash pulls in the game. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, you might as well have popped an invulnerability. Like, that's how good it was. We got plunge. Plungy McPlunge punch. Hope we get some more silver chests. I mean, the level that our weapon and armor is at now is pretty good for all the remaining floors up to floor 50. And technically, I only need to show you up to floor 100 to show you the story of Palace of the Dead. But I am going to try to show you as far as I can go by myself, at the very least. And then sometime in the future, if my friends decide to do it or something, I'll probably strike up a recording and try to show you floor 200. Because this place has 200 floors, and we're 20 floor sets. And the last 50 floors, or the last 5 floor sets, are pretty dang difficult. The farthest I've ever made it solo was on Red Mage, because Red Mage is one of the best jobs to bring in here to solo. And it was a very risky what I'm doing here, so don't copy me. But yeah, 176. I got to 176 on Red Mage. I've been to 154 on Paladin, and I've been to floor 200 in groups multiple times on my main character. But old Clyde here. He's never been beyond floor, you know, never been, like, this is as far as he's gone so far. Well, we could use that Lust Commander to try to speed things up a little bit, but meh. The problem with soloing is not just the fact that dungeon is so hard, it's the fact that if you wipe at all, like if you die while you're solo, you can't go over floor 100. It won't allow you. You're locked out. Any run that wants to go over floor 100, they have to never wipe. You can't wipe after floor 100 either. The second you wipe, it basically tells you start over, and that's how they elongate, you know, this content, by making it very punishing if you fail. But the bad thing about that is that in order to prevent people from, you know, sort of gaming like a bad floor set or whatever, they left it at if you disconnect and you're the only person in the party, that counts as death. So you wipe. It counts as wipe. And I understand why, and I still hate it. I still think it's stupid. You know, there's enough stuff in here that can just outright kill you when you're alone, that the dungeon really doesn't need any help staving off people with, you know, this arbitrary disconnect equals wipe thing. And truth be told, you know, the farthest I've been was 176, right? Well, I've had 3 or 4 other runs that went over floor 150 where I disconnected when I got into the 170s. And some of them I had really, really, really good pomanders all the time. That's basic. Pomanders are what let you solo this pretty much. The steel pomanders are of the greatest importance, especially if you're on red mage. But everything else, you know, makes you go faster. There's the hour time limit on every floor set. And it's in the higher floors, especially with older potencies, tanks had a very difficult time keeping up with the timer. But by extension, so did healers. But with the right pomanders and the right knowledge, even a healer could get all the way up to... I think the farthest anyone made it before Red Mage came out was a Scholar, and they made it to floor 193 by themselves. And basically what it boiled down to was they kept trying over and over again. They perfected all their strategies for each boss, and they got enough pomanders of strength that, you know, and lucky with, you know, just only needing like the minimum amount of monsters killed to go up the floor so many times, they eventually got to floor 193. But the problem was, once they got to floor 193, you know, their pomanders started running out, and they had to start taking gambles, like using alteration pomanders to hope for the Corrigans instead of mimics. And I don't remember if it was mimics that killed them or not, or if they just literally timed out. Because healers inside of here are, at this level range, are far weaker than every other job you could bring. So they go slower. Red Mage stands the best chance for Palace of the Dead because they have self-heal and Bear Cure, and they're DPS. So they go very quickly, and have some durability that they can kind of force, you know. Tanks aren't a bad choice, but they honestly all struggle with the floor 180 boss if you make it that far. And this I only know secondhand, but the floor 180 boss is a King Behemoth, just like the one in Labyrinth of the Ancients, and he casts Ecliptic Meteor when he gets low on HP, like 20% or so. So you have to burst him down. And Ecliptic Meteor doesn't kill you outright. It deals 99% of your maximum total HP, of your maximum HP to you in damage. and the King Behemoth or whatever, Kaiser Behemoth or whatever, it gets an auto attack out between meteor casts. Since it doesn't kill you with the first meteor cast, it instantly starts casting again. And the thing about it is it won't move. So if you're in melee range, when it finishes the first cast, then you'll instantly die to the auto attack. So you have to move out of range. And if you don't, you know, you're boned. But as a result, unless you can heal yourself up, like just really quickly, with like Vercure or Clemency or something, generally, you know, it's either you have the DPS to kill it or you don't. And if you don't, you're screwed. Because you won't live through the second cast of Ecliptic Meteor unless you're full on HP. So it's kind of a cock block for anything that can't self-heal in large amounts. And you know, you have to spike it up as you go, like because you gotta still be you gotta be dealing damage to the Behemoth while it's casting, because what do you think happens after the second cast of Ecliptic Meteor, even if you live through it? It starts casting it a third time! It's basically a soft enrage is what it is. And what I don't know what would happen is I don't know if I know what immunities work on it. Like Hallowed Ground, you can soak a hit of it with Hallowed Ground, I'm pretty sure. Which means Living Dead would work on it. But I don't know what would happen if you know, if you were to do Living Dead and have Walking Dead activate, you know, die. And then if you were able to kill it in that 10 seconds or whatever, I don't know if that would count as a wipe or a win. Because you should, when you kill the boss of any floor set, you should get the victory message. But I don't know, you know, it should theoretically be impossible to die after you get victory. So I don't know if that counts as a wipe or not. I'm sure some Dark Knight enthusiasts would be able to tell me, but I personally do not know. I've never seen it happen. Of course, there is another way to mitigate that, and that's just the fact that after floor 50, we're going to start getting, we'll have a chance to start getting Pomanders of Raising. And what those do is grant you re-raise. So if you die, even while solo, it's not a wipe, you come back to life instantly. Of course, you still lose aggro on monsters, so you can't like at least I don't think you can cheese the behemoth that way. I don't think you can, you know, just save a bunch of raising Pomanders. The other bosses really aren't that much to write home about after floor 150. The 150 boss is unique, but the 160 boss is a repeat or reskin of the floor 60 boss. In fact, all the bosses over floor 100, they're just reskins or reloops of the older bosses with higher damage and higher HP values. So whenever we get to floor 80, we're gonna fight a very weak version of the behemoth I described, who functions exactly the same way, he just has way less HP. Of course, that's all a long ways off, of course. Obviously, going solo, this might be the most boring portion of the Let's Play. Unless I come up with good stuff to talk to you about. Or unless you just really like my voice. But, I might chunk it up a bit after floor 100. Not really sure. But I do want to show this place off because one, after we get to, I think after we get to floor 100, we'll get to have more storyline with the woman who's been watching us in here, and also, you know, that'll conclude the storyline for Palace of the Dead. So I gotta at least show that. But I'd really like to at least get to floor 150 to show you, well, the boss for one thing, and for another thing, to show you floors 151's unique appearance. The one thing about the deep dungeons is after a certain amount of floors, they start to have unique appearance. And, I mean, it's not like, pivotal or anything. It's not like so amazing that I think I'm gonna, blow your mind, but, I think it's noteworthy enough to want to show. Plus, if I can run into any of the NPCs that are dead down here, you can run into, like, Livia Sasjunius as a zombie. You can run into Ritatin Sarvinus as a zombie. You can run into the Black F. I know I've said that before, which is it's the Magitech armor from the first boss in Castrum Meridianum. I think in an earlier episode, way back when I was trying to show this off, like way earlier in the game, we ran into Folks of the Mist as the Dusk White Lancer. I'm trying to think about who else you can run into that's noteworthy. I guess notable is the fact that you can run into Livia Sasjunius in here, and you can run into Ritatin, Sarzavinus or whatever, but you can't run into Gaius von Veilzar as a zombie, so... guess that's mildly interesting. There's more, I know there is. Or I know there are. Did we get debuffs? No, we got a buff and a gloom. So we have more HP, but we also have more gloom. Gloomy Gus. Set up our X potions there. High potions are good, but they're not enough HP per restored per second or whatever. Or per potion use. What's sad is that buff is supposed to increase the total amount of MP, but MP is not allowed to be over 10,000 anymore, so it's useless. Half of the buff is useless. They could have at least given me 2,500 more. Or 2,000 more. I think it's supposed to be 20% HP and MP. Everything this monster does is magic attack, so you can use Dark Mind. And by the way, the first 50 floors, they came out around the time Final Steps of Faith did, and 51 to 200 came out, I think at 3.5. So we're actually in Palace of the Dead at relatively the amount of story progress that it came out in and finished in originally. So as far as the gameplay goes, it's actually not off of the beaten path or anything, which is also part of the reason I'm showing it off now. Now what'll be nice is once we get to level 60, we can just ignore fighting everything, only go for treasure chests and killing the minimum amount of creatures required. And of course that will vary. Sometimes we'll get to go to the next floor after 5 or 6 kills, and other times we won't get to go up for like 12 kills. It's entirely random as far as I'm aware, so it's kind of a crapshoot, but such is life, I suppose. Strengthy Pomander, yeah. Now it's almost like the gloom's not on. I love that Reprisal's AoE and lasts for 10 seconds now. That makes it one of the best cooldowns in the game. Not only can it affect multiple enemies, but it's 10%, you know, for 10 seconds on every 60 seconds. It is one of the greatest mitigation tools of all time. It used to be Dark Knight exclusive and related to parrying. It had an icon. You see how Edge of Darkness looks? The icon looked like Edge of Darkness, except I guess it was up and down, and it was slightly brighter purple. It was available every, I want to say it was available every 20 seconds, but you had to parry in order for it to become available. Because it was kind of like a Dark Knight's version of Shield Swipe, which was a similar ability by Paladin that inflicted amnesia, whereas Reprisal inflicts 10% damage dealt down. And of course the one bad thing about Reprisal, since it was related to parrying, on any boss that didn't have any physical hits at all, you could never do it. And the thing that was bad about that was that originally Reprisal was a 210 off global, 210 potency off global attack. So you'd lose out on a sizable chunk of your damage if you couldn't, if you couldn't use. Yeah, we'll get safe. We'll get safe. Yeah, if you couldn't use Reprisal. So that would be like primals like Sophia. All of her auto attacks are magical. Her only physical attack is her Tank Buster, and that's only in Extreme.
and it doesn't always happen to the Dark Knight, and you don't always parry it. So you're just sitting there losing out on 210 potency that you could be doing every 20 to 30 seconds. Alright, only one more level to go. Wish we'd find some more silver chests. Nightmare Gourmand. Ooh. Later on, after 450, we're going to be able to find... I don't remember what they're called, what kind of pomaders they are, but they let you turn into an angel. And it has this like holy attack that deals like some sort of crazy amount of damage to undead enemies. And also, if they're vulnerable to stun, it stuns them. So it's like, it's very powerful. Very, very powerful. Come on, HP, go back up. All the way. Thank you. Son of a bitch. That would be my luck. You son of a... There you are. How about that? If it's brown, it's still stunnable, baby. Oh, you didn't have the decency to drop me another treasure chest, you son of a bitch. Should have been an upgrade. Oh, hi, Mark. I guess it's oh, hi, Monk. Nightmare Monk. Can I just, you know, get around you? No? Okay. Yeah, originally, Dark Knight had, let's see, it had Low Blow, Reprisal, Mercy Stroke, Carbon Spit, Plunge, Dark Passenger, Blood Price, Blood Weapon, Dark Arts, and Salted Earth, and I don't remember. But that's like 7 off globals, and they all contributed to doing more damage. Original Dark Knight was the first tank to truly feel like playing a DPS while you were on tank. The only issue was that Warrior at the time dealt more damage, which was ridiculous. But, you know, whatever. But, well, I would say whatever, except for the fact that the Heavensward jobs, when they first came out, they were presented as jobs that were advanced, right? Like they would start at level 30. You couldn't access them until you got to Heavensward. There were no story skip potions, no level skip potions. So you had to play through the entirety of A Realm Reborn and post A Realm Reborn content. And so they were supposed to be really good. They were supposed to be better alternatives to the other jobs. But the caveat was supposed to be they take a higher amount of skill to play. And they did. They all did. But what was shitty was the fact that even playing them at the best of their ability when they first came out, all of them were literally weaker in every aspect of what their jobs were supposed to be able to do than every other job of similar role. Although, because of the fact that Dark Knight mitigated magic damage, and Paladin doesn't, or, you know, doesn't have as many, the fight design let people gravitate away from Paladin for the first time. And Dark Knight did do more damage than Paladin on release, but with how good it was supposed to be better at damage. Like, Dark Knight's supposed to be the tank that needs the most health, but is really good, like, defensively in the right situation, and deals the most damage. But it wasn't. Warrior was. Warrior trumped it in mitigation, trumped it in HP restored, trumped it in, you know, damage dealt, had a better invulnerability. You know, just in every conceivable way, Warrior was, like, better than Dark Knight. But because of limit break charges and things, you know, people usually would bring Dark Knight to have two different tanks. But also to make up for lack of Monk in a party for intelligence down on the boss. Because originally Dark Knight used to be able to inflict intelligence down on the boss, which would lower magic damage dealt. Originally. As for the other two Heavensward jobs, Machinist and Astrologian, Machinist was weaker than Bard by about 200 to 300 DPS, and it had this, like, random proc-based system for its combos involving ammunition, and basically was total garbage. It had an ability called Hypercharge that would let it you could put a vulnerability up on the enemy for about 20 seconds or so, but it wasn't enough because it just lacked so much personal DPS. It just wasn't good. And then Astrologian, it originally had weaker shields than Scholar and weaker regions than White Mage. And it's never been allowed to use both in battle until Shadowbringers, with those unique skills that let you have both, that are on cooldowns. So it was always restricted to one or the other. So basically it was supposed to be the healer that can, you know, fill in for a party no matter what. And then it had its buffing cards. Everyone's always liked its buffing cards, but its healing powers were so low, and it lacked off-global healing to the extent where a White Mage and Scholar together, because they could you know, keep their party healed without using globals, they spend more globals on dealing damage, which meant that the damage buffs that you receive on Astrologian in the form of originally just the balance, although the arrow and the spear were all technically DPS increases, with the arrow and the balance being the biggest ones. This is going to be annoying. We're going to have to wait on potions, aren't we? Stop spawning next to me! Dear God. want to open this chest without fear of death. What I wouldn't give for... a self-heal right now. Paladin wouldn't have this problem on a no auto heal floor. They just would be able to catch Clemency by now. Ugh. Of course, if I had sustaining potions, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But also, if you're wondering why I waited, it's because silver chests can explode and deal 99% of your total HP as damage. So if you're missing HP, then you die. Simple as that. Now here we are at the floor 40 boss. And this boss is actually probably the hardest boss from the 1 to 50 range of this dungeon. And I will show you why. Although, with vulnerability stacks on, he's gonna look like a chump. Okay, so these adds, these are why. The adds cast spells to damage you. If they're left alive too long, they eventually cast Tornado, which reduces you to critical HP. Or maybe it deals half your HP or 2/3 of your HP. Yeah, but then he does this. Inflicts terror on you. And then he does that. And that crosshair, if the adds were still alive, this is when they would cast Tornado. Let's go ahead and use the Nut of Lust to refresh his vulnerability before it wears off. And what you might be tempted to do is you might be tempted to be like, well, I could kill him before, you know, he does the terror or whatever. But if you do that and you don't manage to, you know, actually kill him, then his ghosts will kill you while you're terror. Like, it's awful. It's awful like that. I probably could have, but I like to play it safe. As dumb as that may be sometimes. Yay! Wish he had given me weapon upgrades. Also, I like this area. Like, it's full of water. Looks like it could be in the Tamterra Deep Crop somewhere. Got a Caduceus back there. Like, what is that? Like balloon staff or something? Or dandelions? I can't tell. No cutscene after floor 40, interestingly enough. And obviously we could go start floors 41 to 50, but I have to save that for next time, because we're pretty much out of time. Then, if you're only in this for the main storyline or watching the main storyline, then I suggest you skip this episode. Although this is at the end of the episode, I guess I'm saying it. But, and the ones that are going to proceed it for like the next, I don't know, at least the next probably 5 or 6 videos, depending on how fast I can get done with floor sets. Because obviously I have to do 41 to 50, but then I have to do 51 to 100 recorded. What I'll probably do, just to not have too many videos dedicated to Palace of the Dead, is because I told you that the bosses are, you know, after 100 they're just reskins of older bosses. I'll probably just not record floors 101 to 140. I'll probably just I'll show you floor 100 boss, and then I would just straight up skip, and the next recording will be me going into floor 141 to 150, and I'll show you floors 141 to 150, and then I'll have another one to show you 151 and above. And I'll probably die in the 151 and above range, just because the enemies get so much more difficult, and Dark Knight really doesn't have a leg up on the competition here. So, yeah, that's about the size of it. But thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and have a good day.